Welcome to Craving the Heat, where desire takes the lead and every story leaves you wanting more. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments and keep up with our latest naughty stories. I'd always thought I knew everything about my sister Emma. We were close at least. That's what I believed. Growing up, we shared secrets, laughter, and even heartbreaks. But life, as it often does, has a way of hiding truths beneath you. Surface, waiting for the moment to reveal itself when you least expect it. It all began one chilly spring evening when Emma invited me over to her apartment. She was usually the one visiting me, so her asking me to come over felt like something was different. I shrugged off the feeling, telling myself she just wanted company. Her place was neat, almost too neat. As I walked in, I noticed a faint scent of jasmine lingering in the air, Emma's favorite perfume. But I sensed there was more than just her presence here. We sat down with cups of tea, and I watched her carefully, trying to read between the lines as she spoke about work, life, and the usual small talk. But her smile felt forced. Her eyes darted away whenever I asked about her love life. "You haven't been seeing anyone, have you?" I asked casually. Emma's cheeks flushed slightly, and she bit her lip. "Not really," she said softly. "Just complicated." That was the first crack in the facade. I didn't push her, respecting her space, but my curiosity was piqued. What could be so complicated? Weeks passed, and Emma's calls became less frequent. When we did speak, she was evasive, distracted, and sometimes downright distant. Then, one night, I got a text from an unknown number, a picture of Emma smiling with a man I didn't recognize. Both of them closed, their heads touching like they shared a secret only they knew. The caption read, "Some secrets are worth the risk." My heart pounded. I showed Emma the message the next time we met, her face draining of color. "Okay," she admitted, voice trembling. "There is something I need to tell you." Emma's story unfolded in fragments, hesitant and raw. She was in love, but not with the man she had been dating publicly. Instead, she'd been secretly seeing someone else, a man married to one of our closest family friends, someone no one expected. She spoke about stolen moments, passionate nights, and the weight of the lies she carried every day. Her world was a complicated maze of desire, guilt, and loneliness. The man promised her everything she thought she deserved: attention, love, and escape from a life she felt trapped in. I felt torn. Part of me wanted to scold her, to tell her it was wrong, but another part understood her desperation, the hunger for connection that had driven her down this path. We spent hours talking, peeling back the layers of secrecy. Emma confessed. The fear of being found out, the shame that clung to her like a shadow, in the hope that maybe one day things could be different. Over time, I saw the toll the affair took on her. Sleepless nights, anxious calls, and a growing distance from the people who loved her. Yet, amidst the chaos, there was a strange kind of beauty. Two flawed people trying to find solace in each other's arms, but secrets don't stay buried forever. One afternoon, the truth exploded into the open when the husband's wife discovered messages on his phone. The fallout was immediate and brutal. Families were shattered, friendships tested, and Emma found herself at the center of a storm she couldn't control. She came to me broken, tears streaming down her face, afraid she'd lost everything. But I held her, reminding her that even in the darkest moments, love and forgiveness could still exist, even if the path was messy and uncertain. In the months that followed, Emma faced the consequences with quiet strength. She ended the affair, sought therapy, and began to rebuild herself piece by piece. Our bond deepened, forged through honesty and shared pain. What I discovered about my sister wasn't just a secret. It was a testament to the complexity of human hearts, the mistakes we make, and the power of redemption. And through it all, I realized that sometimes the people we think we know best are hiding stories that could change everything. After the storm of revelations, life for Emma became a tightrope walk between guilt and hope. The affair was over, but its echoes haunted her every waking moment. The man she had loved, or thought she did, had returned to his family, seeking forgiveness, and trying to patch the broken pieces of his life. Meanwhile, Emma was left to face the harsh judgment of the world around her at first. She withdrew from everyone, including me. Our once close relationship was strained by the weight of her secret. When we did speak, her voice was fragile, haunted by the fear of losing not just friends and family, but also her sense of self. One evening, I found her sitting alone in her dimly lit apartment, the silence thick and suffocating. I sat beside her without a word, offering only the comfort of presence. Slowly, she began to open up, her story spilling out in sobs and whispered confessions. "I never wanted to hurt anyone," she said, her voice cracking. "I was lonely. I felt invisible. And when he looked at me like I mattered, I wanted to believe in something real." I held her hand, feeling the tremors of her pain. "Emma, you're more than your mistakes." We all crave connection. It's human. In the weeks that followed, I became her anchor. I accompanied her to therapy sessions, helped her rebuild broken friendships, and reminded her daily that she was not alone. Slowly, Emma began to reclaim her life. She found a new job, joined a book club, and even started dating again, cautiously, and with guarded hope. But the affair's shadow lingered, a reminder that healing is never linear. There were nights when the pain would surge, and Emma would call me, voice thick with tears. Other times, she was filled with determination, ready to fight for a future that wasn't defined by her past. Meanwhile, the man at the center of the affair remained a complicated presence. Our family friend's marriage had fractured. The time began to soften the edges. Surprisingly, the wife chose forgiveness over bitterness, focusing on rebuilding her own life. The community, initially harsh and judgmental, slowly moved on, but the scars remained. One day, Emma confided in me a secret that surprised me. Despite everything, she still cared for him, not in the way she once did, but as someone who had shared a deeply human, flawed experience. "It's not about love anymore," she said quietly. "It's about acceptance." That acceptance extended to herself. Emma began to understand that her identity wasn't defined by the affair or the judgment of others, but by her capacity to grow, to learn, and to forgive herself. Our relationship transformed too. The bond between sisters grew stronger, forged in vulnerability and honesty. We shared late-night talks, laughter that felt lighter than it had in years, and moments of quiet support. I realized that the secret she'd hidden from me wasn't just about betrayal or mistakes. It was a story about resilience, about the messy, imperfect journey of finding oneself amidst the wreckage. And as Emma stood on the threshold of a new chapter, hopeful, cautious, but determined, I felt proud. Not because she was perfect, but because she was brave enough to face her truth and still choose love. Love for herself, for those around her, and for the uncertain future ahead. Months passed, and Emma's transformation was subtle but profound. The once timid, hesitant woman I had known was slowly emerging stronger, more self-aware, and surprisingly hopeful. Yet the road was anything but smooth. Her new job at a local community center gave her a renewed sense of purpose. She worked with others who had faced hardships, listening to their stories and offering empathy. It was healing for her each. Shared experience, a thread knitting together her fractured spirit. But every now and then, shadows from the past crept in. A chance encounter with someone from the old neighborhood, a whisper of gossip carried through mutual friends, or even a sudden pang of loneliness that no distraction could fix. Emma's social circle began to shift. Some old friends, unable to look past the scandal, drifted away, but new friendships blossomed. Among them was Claire, a warm-hearted woman with a quick smile and an unwavering loyalty. Claire became Emma's confidant, a steady presence during our late-night conversations and moments of self-doubt. One chilly autumn evening, Emma invited me over. The small apartment was filled with the scent of cinnamon and freshly brewed tea. We sat wrapped in blankets, the hum of the city outside muffled by thick windows. "I never thought I'd say this," Emma mused, stirring her cup, "but I'm learning to forgive myself. Not just for what happened with him, but for all the Times I doubted I was worth more. Her words struck me deeply. Forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness, was the hardest kind. Despite the healing, Emma's relationship with her sister remained delicate. The breach of trust wasn't easy to mend. There were days when old wounds reopened, fueled by anger or sadness. But we all wanted to believe that family could endure anything. One afternoon, Emma received a message from her sister. "Can we meet? I miss you." They met in a quiet cafe, their conversation tentative at first. Tears were shed, apologies offered, and slowly, a fragile understanding took root. They spoke openly about pain, mistakes, and the desire to move forward without judgment. That meeting marked a turning point. Though trust would take time to rebuild fully, the foundation was laid. Meanwhile, the man at the heart of the affair tried to make amends in his own way. Our family friend's husband reached out to Emma, not with apologies or explanations, but with a simple acknowledgement of the hurt caused. "It wasn't fair to you, to anyone," he admitted during a brief, awkward encounter. "I'm trying to be better." Emma didn't respond immediately, but the gesture, however small, offered a sliver of closure. Romance, once a source of pain, tentatively re-entered Emma's life. Claire introduced her to Lucas, a kind and thoughtful man who didn't pry or judge. Their connection grew gradually, built on shared interests, laughter, and quiet moments. Lucas respected Emma's pace, never rushing, always offering a safe space. Yet, vulnerability remained a challenge. Emma often grappled with fear. Fear of repeating old mistakes, fear of being hurt again, fear of fully opening her heart. But Lucas's patience and sincerity helped her chip away at those walls. One night, as they walked through a park illuminated by the soft glow of street lamps, Emma confessed, "I've been broken before, but maybe with you I can be whole." Again, Lucas smiled, squeezing her hand gently. "We all carry scars, it's what makes us who we are. And I'm here, all of me, if you want me." Emma's journey was far from over. Healing wasn't a straight line. There were setbacks, moments of doubt, and days when the past felt unbearably close. But through it all, she learned that strength came not from perfection, but from persistence. In the end, what she found was more than just forgiveness. It was a rebirth, a chance to write a new story, one where mistakes didn't define her, and where love, in its many forms, could truly heal. Emma's life had settled into a tentative, new normal, but beneath the surface, emotions churned with a quiet intensity. The shock of discovering her sister's secret affair had fractured her world, yet it also forced her to confront her own vulnerabilities in ways she never expected. Her relationship with her sister, Sophie, remained fragile. They spoke less frequently than before, the gap between them filled with unsaid words and cautious silences. Emma wanted to forgive, but the sense of betrayal clung stubbornly, like a shadow she couldn't shake. One rainy afternoon, Emma found herself staring at her phone, a message from Sophie blinking on the screen. "Can we talk? I need you." The hesitation was immediate, but the underlying longing for reconciliation won out. She replied simply, "Okay, when?" They met in a quiet corner of the local library, a neutral ground far from the prying eyes of their small community. Sophie's eyes were red-rimmed, guilt and shame etched deeply into her face. "I never meant to hurt you," Sophie whispered. "It just happened. I was lonely, confused." "I don't want to lose you." Emma's heart ached. She saw not just her sister, but a woman struggling with her own mistakes, trying to find a way back. "I'm angry," Emma admitted softly. "But I want to understand. I want us to find a way through this." They talked for hours, their voices low, weaving through pain, regret, and tentative hope. It was the beginning of a slow, painful healing, a process neither could rush, but both desperately wanted. Meanwhile, Emma's relationship with Lucas blossomed quietly but meaningfully. He was patient and kind, a stark contrast to the tumult of her recent past. Lucas didn't ask probing questions about the affair or her family's turmoil. Instead, he offered steadiness, a hand to hold when the nights felt long and the memories too sharp. One evening, As they walked beneath the autumn leaves, Emma found herself opening up in a way she hadn't with anyone in years. She spoke of fear that her past mistakes would define her forever, that she wasn't worthy of love or happiness. Lucas stopped, turning to face her, his gaze steady and warm. Emma, your past doesn't make you less. It makes you human. And I want to be here not because you're perfect, but because you're real. Those words settled deep in her chest, a seed of hope taking root, yet life outside their bubble was less forgiving. Rumors about Sophie's affair had spread through their community like wildfire. Friends and acquaintances whispered behind closed doors, some offering sympathy, others judgment. Emma felt the sting of whispered conversations and sidelong glances, but she refused to let them define her. Her family, once a source of comfort, had become a complicated web of loyalties and grievances. Emma's parents were caught between their daughters, torn by disappointment and a desire to heal. Family dinners were tense, filled with strained politeness and unspoken tension. In the midst of this, Emma's own sense of identity shifted. She began attending therapy, determined to understand her feelings and rebuild her self-worth. The sessions were hard, unearthing buried pain, confronting insecurities, but they gave her tools to move forward. One breakthrough came when her therapist asked, "What do you want your story to be, Emma?" The question lingered long after the session ended. She realized that she didn't have to be defined by betrayal or mistakes. She could be the author of her own narrative, one of resilience, forgiveness, and love. As winter approached, Emma invited Sophie to spend Christmas with her and Lucas. It was a tentative step toward rebuilding trust, a gesture filled with hope and uncertainty. The holiday was simple: shared meals, laughter amidst awkward moments, and the quiet understanding that healing was ongoing. Sophie apologized again, and Emma accepted, not with naive forgiveness, but with a mature willingness to move forward. Meanwhile, Lucas grew closer to Emma's family, bridging gaps with his gentle demeanor and sincere efforts. His presence became a balm to the fractured family ties, a reminder that love could mend even the deepest wounds. Emma's journey was far from perfect. There were days when doubt crept in, when the weight of past mistakes seemed unbearable. But with each challenge, she found strength she didn't know she had. The story of what she discovered about her sister had shaken her to the core, but it also illuminated the complexities of human relationships, the fragility of trust, the power of forgiveness, and the possibility of redemption. In the end, Emma realized that life wasn't about avoiding pain or mistakes, but about embracing the messy, beautiful process of healing and growth. And as she looked toward the future, hand in hand with Lucas, and with her sister slowly by her side, she felt ready to face whatever came next. The new year arrived with a strange mix of hope and uncertainty. Emma had promised herself to embrace change, to let go of bitterness, and to rebuild her life on her own terms. But as the snow fell softly outside her apartment window, she realized that healing wasn't a straight path. It was a winding road filled with detours, setbacks, and unexpected moments of grace. Her relationship with Sophie remained complicated but honest. They continued to meet regularly, sometimes in coffee shops, other times walking through quiet parks. Their conversations were a delicate dance, balancing apologies with forgiveness, sorrow with laughter, and the shared memories of a childhood that neither wanted to lose. One afternoon, Sophie confided in Emma about the man she'd been seeing, a married man named Daniel, a fact she had hid not only from Emma but from their entire family. Sophie's voice trembled as she revealed how the affair had begun, how loneliness and a yearning for validation had pulled her into a web of secrets she now desperately wanted to escape. Emma listened, her heart aching for her sister's pain, but also for the broken trust. "You need to choose yourself, Sophie," Emma said gently. "Not for anyone else, but for you." Sophie nodded, tears spilling over. "I want to. I really do." Meanwhile, Lucas remained Emma's anchor through the emotional storms. His patience and unwavering support became the steady rhythm in her life. One evening, as they cooked dinner together in Emma's modest kitchen, he surprised her by pulling out a small box. "I've been meaning to ask you something," Lucas said, cheeks flushed with nerves. Emma's heart skipped. Inside the box was a delicate silver necklace, a simple pendant shaped like a leaf. "It's a symbol of growth," he explained. "Of new beginnings. I want to keep growing with you." Emma's eyes filled with tears. She nodded, leaning into him, feeling a profound sense of belonging. But life wasn't without challenges. The whispers and judgments from their small community intensified. Emma's parents struggled to navigate their own feelings, disappointment, concern, and a deep desire to protect their daughters. Family dinners were often tense, with conversations circling around Sophie's affair and Emma's choices. One night, Emma's father sat her down, his voice heavy. "We worry about you both. We want what's best. But things have changed." Emma met his gaze steadily. "I know, Dad, but we're trying to find our way. And I need you to trust that I'm doing what's right for me." Her mother, quieter but no less concerned, nodded slowly. "We just want our family whole again." Emma understood their pain, but also felt the weight of her own growth. She couldn't be the person they expected her to be, not anymore. She needed to forge a path true to herself. To help bridge the gap, Emma invited her parents to join her, and Lucas for a weekend getaway to a nearby cabin. The retreat was a chance to step away from daily pressures and rediscover connections amid nature's quiet beauty. At first, the weekend was awkward, silences hanging heavily, old wounds simmering beneath smiles. But as the days passed, moments of genuine laughter and shared stories emerged. Emma's parents began to see Lucas not just as their boyfriend, but as a kind, caring man who brought out the best in their daughter. On the last night, gathered around a crackling fire, Emma's mother reached out, squeezing her hand. "We're proud of you, Emma. All of you." Tears welled in Emma's eyes, a bittersweet mix of relief and love. Back home, Sophie faced her own crossroads. After ending her affair with Daniel, she started attending therapy, determined to rebuild her self-respect and heal the fractures within herself and her family. It was a difficult journey marked by painful reflections and small victories. One afternoon, Sophie surprised Emma by bringing over a box of old photographs, memories of their childhood, laughter frozen in time. "I want to remember the good, too," she said softly. Emma smiled, feeling the fragile threads of sisterhood begin to weave stronger again. Throughout these months, Emma also invested in herself. She enrolled in evening classes to advance her career, determined to reclaim independence and self-worth beyond the shadows of her family's troubles. The late nights studying and the challenges of balancing work and school were exhausting, but they fueled a quiet pride in her resilience. Lucas stood by her side through it all, their relationship evolving from tender support to a deeper partnership, built on mutual respect and shared dreams. One spring morning, as flowers bloomed and the city seemed to awaken from its cold slumber, Emma sat in a quiet park with Lucas. The sun warmed her face, and she breathed in the scent of new beginnings. "I'm ready," she said, her voice steady. "Ready to move forward with you, with Sophie, and with myself." Lucas smiled, taking her hand. "We're in this together." Emma's journey had been marked by heartbreak and betrayal, but also by courage, forgiveness, and love. She understood now that life's imperfections were part of its beauty, and that true strength came from embracing the mésalliances of being human. As she looked ahead, Emma felt a quiet confidence blossoming within her, a belief that no matter what storms came, she could face them with an open heart and a fierce spirit. As spring blossomed around the city, Emma felt something stirring inside her, a vibrant mix of hope, longing, and a fierce desire to embrace life fully. Her days were busy with work and classes, but her nights belonged to Lucas. Their relationship, once cautious and tentative, was now a blazing flame neither wanted to extinguish. One evening, after a long day of studying, Lucas surprised Emma by showing up at her apartment with a small bouquet of wildflowers and a mischievous smile. The air was thick with the scent of rain, the kind that made the world feel fresh and alive. I thought you could use a break, he said, pulling her into a warm hug that chased away the fatigue. They settled into the worn couch, close enough that their breaths mingled, and time seemed to slow. Lucas brushed a stray lock of hair from Emma's face, his fingers lingering just a moment longer than necessary. His eyes searched hers, deep and earnest. I've never stopped thinking about you, he whispered, his voice low and trembling with emotion. Even when things were hard. Even when I wasn't sure if we had a chance. Emma's heart pounded as she reached up, tracing the line of his jaw with trembling fingertips. The vulnerability in his gaze mirrored her own. Without hesitation, she leaned in, their lips meeting in a kiss that was at once tender and desperate, a release of months of pent-up longing and unspoken words. The kiss deepened, becoming a language of its own, raw, passionate, and filled with promises. Lucas's hands slid down Emma's back, pulling her closer until their bodies were pressed together. The warmth between them, a refuge from the uncertainties outside Dot in that moment, the world faded away. There was only the soft sigh of breath, the quickening heartbeat, and the electric touch of skin against skin. They moved together with a tenderness that spoke of respect and reverence, yet there was an urgent hunger to a need to claim the love that had grown quietly in the shadows and now demanded to be acknowledged. Later, wrapped in each other's arms, Emma felt a peace she hadn't known in years. The scars of the past still lingered, but with Lucas, those wounds felt less like chains and more like marks of survival. Over the following weeks, their passion wove itself into every corner of their lives. Lazy Sunday mornings stretched into afternoons tangled in sheets, laughter spilling between stolen kisses. Evening walks became adventures, each touch and glance a conversation of desire and affection. One night, as a thunderstorm raged outside, Lucas held Emma close by the window, their bodies swaying gently to the rhythm of the rain. You're the most incredible person I've ever met, he murmured, pressing a kiss to her temple. I want to build a life with you full of love, passion, and all the messy, beautiful moments in between. Emma smiled through tears, her heart overflowing. I want that too, more than anything. Their love was not perfect. There were moments of doubt, fears of the past creeping in, but it was real, fierce and unyielding. Together they faced the world, ready to write a new chapter defined not by mistakes or secrets, but by the passionate bond that had saved them both. As the days grew longer and the city blossomed into summer, Emma and Lucas found themselves standing on the edge of a new beginning. The wounds of the past were still there, faint shadows beneath the light of their love, but they no longer defined them. One quiet evening, under a sky painted with fading pinks and soft purples, Lucas took Emma's hand and led her to the rooftop of her building. The city stretched out beneath them, a tapestry of lights and life, while a gentle breeze carried the scent of blooming jasmine. I've been waiting for this moment, Lucas said softly, his voice steady but filled with emotion. You changed everything for me. You showed me that love can be fierce and gentle at the same time, that even broken things can become whole again. Emma's eyes shimmered with tears as she squeezed his hand. You saved me, Lucas, more than, you know. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a simple, elegant ring. Will you take this journey with me? Not because everything will be perfect, but because we'll face whatever comes together. Her heart soared. With a radiant smile, she nodded. Yes, 1,000 times, yes. They embraced as the city lights flickered on, the world around, them glowing with possibility. Their love story, a tale of pain, passion, forgiveness, and hope, had found its new beginning. Together, they stepped forward, ready to write the rest of their lives, hand in hand.